of teams in my life, starting, I mean, I guess it would be family, right? When you're first super young before you understand the concept of the team. But most people will get this one, organized sports, right? Which I actually truly believe you can learn almost everything we did in the military through organized sports. It will take a lot longer. And some of the messages and lessons maybe are not as sharp because it's like, oh, we lost. Whoop-de-doo. It was our 14th soccer game of the weekend, and our parents are actually really glad that we lost because they just want to go home. Later on in life, post-military, part of a team, we were trying to do something that was pretty cool, but it wasn't my idea to start the goal that we were going towards. I didn't necessarily build the team, and even though in some areas I had more experience than the person who was the founder, I think it got to a place where, and you can talk yourself into this, like, I'm just going to do this without communicating. I'm going to start taking control. And the reality is, I wasn't in the place where I was in control. And so what happens is you fracture personal relationships because even though the team, in your mind, what you tell yourself is, I'm going to do this for the benefit of the team. But what you're really saying a layer deep is I know more than you, or I have more experience than you, which a lot of the times you do, but learn how to communicate and work with the team to get these things accomplished. And so it's probably the end result, not irreparable, but fractured some personal relationships for a little bit, because everybody on a team, at least in my experience, generally is coming at it from the place of they want it to be successful. I haven't met a lot of people who join teams with the idea of like, oh yeah, I just wanted to be a part of this team so I could make it fail. That's what I was looking for. That would be weird. I'm sure there's people out there who maybe like that's what tightens their screws. I don't know. I don't think I've met anybody like that, but it's easy to forget that. Maybe when you're outperforming somebody in a core competency that they don't have as much experience. You're like, what's up? Why can't you keep up? It's not because they're not trying to, it's they don't have as much experience. If you can't keep that in check, and this has happened in my own personal life, it can fracture personal and professional relationships, and actually your desire to try to take over and do the right thing can diminish performance on that team, which is what happened in that situation. Since then, personal relationships have been recovered, but we're talking years later.
Yeah.
And why do that to yourself?
Is there an area, I guess professionally, where you find that's hardest for you to separate that?
It gets real hard, I think, not only for me, but for most people, when you're in a team, a small unit, and again, you either have the ability to perform at a higher level than many, if not most of the other people, or you have more experience than many, if not most of the other people. I think that is the place where you have to keep it in check the most.
Yeah, that makes sense. If time travel were possible, where and when would you go and why?
I think you asked me this the first time, and I'm going to go with the same answer. And this one sometimes nerds people out. I would go back to a bar in like the 1940s and have a drink with Hitler. We would order a drink, I would choke him to death with my own hands without saying a word to him, and then have two drinks because there'd be mine and his.
So rabbit hole time. Where do you think the Earth would be if you had done that? Like, can you even begin to comprehend the
No, because you have to think about everything, because who he was and what he did, the reaction it caused from the world changed the world. And maybe nations working together that wouldn't necessarily have, or alliances being forged, or even logistical pipelines being forged that still exist to this day. If none of those things had happened, I don't think you can actually fathom what removing somebody from that would look like. And of course, like, I would love to do that because what he did was, I don't have